This week, as a grateful nation honors its veterans, the American landscape is in California's Central Valley, heading into downtown Fresno to see the Veterans Memorial Museum, which also is home to the Legion of Valor. It's just 109 miles from Bakersfield, 137 miles from San Luis Obispo, and 171 miles from Sacramento. We're here to see Deputy Director Mike Harris, who's going to show us around the museum, tell us about the Legion of Valor, and give us some great stories about the veterans of this fine nation. One country, 50 states, and many roads. It's all about the American road trip. So please join me, and together we'll visit roadside attractions, fascinating museums, unique landmarks, and offbeat points of interest.
Hi, welcome to the Wrigley Mansion. Come on in.
Welcome to the Museum of the Forgotten Warrior.
But most importantly, we'll experience the inspiring people and grandeur of the American landscape. Mike, I'm Greg.
Greg, Mike Harris,
It's nice to meet you.
Deputy Director of the museum.
Thank you. Thanks for having us here. And I'm Air Force, so and my dad was Navy. I've got a long history of service members in the family, so I'm excited to be here. I always like to see military museums. For those who don't know what a Legion of Valor or the level, what we're speaking here of honors here, you're awarded this. Can you give us a brief explanation of what we're seeing here?
Okay, well, this particular little case here is honoring the nation's highest awards, the Congressional Medal of Honor and the Distinguished Service Crosses for all the branches of service. This museum is the national headquarters for the Legion of Valor of the United States. And the Legion of Valor is sort of like a fraternal organization within the United States consisting of only military veterans that have won these high awards. They are an organization that was founded in 1890 and has carried on through all these years. They started the awards to the servicemen with the Indian Wars and the Civil War. So they go way back in lineage and have covered just about every aspect of conflicts that the United States have been involved in since 1890. And we are their home headquarters for the Legion of Valor of the United States.
Wow, it's very impressive. Because sometimes you wonder why somebody would rush a machine gun, but you told me earlier when we first met, did what they did, that they ended up being awarded. So could you kind of retell me about that?
Well, I've met a number of these fellows, and in talking with them, asking them, well, what was your thinking whenever you ran into that machine gun fire, or they were lobbing mortars at you or something, and what prompted you to create this situation where you were the recipient of one of these awards? And most of them have kind of had the same theme. I was tired of seeing my buddies blown up and killed, and I got so mad, I just let my anger take over, and I took care of business at hand as what it needed to be done. It wasn't so much about, well, if I run over there, I'm going to get a decoration. That's not the case. Right. So that's kind of the theme that I've found when talking to many of these individuals. Now, they are incredibly courageous, brave men, that is for sure. But there's usually a prompting or a motivation behind the ultimate charge into danger.
Sure. Beyond this in the basic organization, I'm taking it that your exhibits expand way beyond just the Legion Awards.
Absolutely.
Correct? Yeah.
Here in Central California, in Fresno, Fresno County, Madera County to the north, Merced County a little further north, Tulare, Kings to the south, it's really a patriotic area. And so it's produced a lot of very notable, I call them war heroes, I guess, if you want to call them that.
Sure.
And so their tributes are displayed when we can get them and when we are known or know about them. This area has produced a kind of an unusual number of general officers.
Really?
Locally here, Army, Air Force, Navy, admirals. So we have displays of their accomplishments on board. And most all of them will have a description of their service or their actions or whatever it might have been to be able to honor them in a special location for a special event. So yeah, it's very varied as to the stuff we have. Our museum lives on donations from the public and volunteerism. We don't have big government funds to come in and buy large pieces of equipment or things that we can make huge display items out of. small local location here, and it's packed to the gills.
I see that,
with
yeah.
artifacts. I have been told more things on display individually than the Smithsonian.
Whoa.
Now, I don't know that to be true, but I have been told
Hey,
that.
sounds like a great fact to me. We'll
Yeah.
run with
Good
that one.
story anyway.
Yeah. I can't help but right behind you there's a video screen of famous actors who have also served, and you just don't see that very much in the last few generations, but a lot of great names flying by as we're talking here.
Well, a couple of years ago, our staff, we were sitting around talking about, Hollywood, and I think it was after one of the ladies had hosted the Emmys, and she pretty much got a lot of flack for being so liberal and so forth. And, we're mostly a kind of a middle-of-the-road conservative, working class type of person that comes and volunteers here. So the conversation steered around to how Hollywood has turned to this almost like an America-hating institution, and they want to demoralize everything that's righteous and good. That's our take on it anyway. So we thought, well, to counter that, let's look and see what the generation before did.
Oh, I see.
So you go back to the World War II era, and it's just incredible how many of those guys that were in the movies that went off to war, did their job, came back, and just resumed their careers.
Yeah.
And you never heard about it. But so we compiled a video with well over 100 and something of these actors that everybody knows, and a little bit about their war service. Let's wander over here a few feet.
Okay, I see an astronaut.
You see an astronaut?
I do.
So we'll talk about him.
Okay. I don't know if that's where you were going, but...
No, that's where I was going.
Okay.
Well, and there's others. Well, Dave Scott was one of the Apollo 15 astronauts, and he was the first guy to drive the moon rover, the little cart up there on the moon, which they left behind. Everybody knows that. That's documented in tons of stories and papers and magazines. But the thing that didn't really get out there to the public so much was that he was also the first guy to send a piece of mail to the moon. So he mailed a postcard to the moon. Well, they took it with them. When they got there, they took his post office stamp, delivered. Well, there's the postcard.
Oh, and he brought it back.
Yeah. And this is actually his flight suit to and from the moon that they wore in the capsule. And then later on they put on their spacesuit to get outside.
Yeah.
But that's a pretty unique piece of history. And
that's pretty cool.
So
you got one guy golfing.
Yeah.
Carpenter. No, not Carpenter. I'm gonna go blank. Navy guy, Shepard. He's mailing things and driving the first moon rover. That's really pretty cool.
Yep. Down in this cabinet that you're leaning on here on the bottom, you see his old clunky-looking metal box with a phone on it. Well, that happened to be the radio phone that was on the USS Missouri that MacArthur called to tell the president that the Japanese had surrendered in Tokyo Bay.
That's the actual one?
That's the actual one, as far as
no kidding.
All history has been pointed to this piece, to our knowledge, here in the museum. How it came here, I do not know, but it's a pretty significant piece of history right there.
I can't help it. I mean, that's pretty cool, but I'm drawn to these old cigarettes.
Right.
Look, with like presidential seals on them?
Well, yes. Back in the day when these astronauts were first getting out into the space exploration, into the moon, smoking was still
a pretty cool thing.
Pretty cool thing to do. So they smoked cigarettes, and if you wanted to honor somebody, you wrapped up a cigar with their name on it, or their service branch, or a pack of cigarettes, or something like that. And that was kind of like a commemorative thing. Well, in this same case here that you're looking at, the city of Fresno had 3 ships named after it. The first one was an old sailing ship frigate, a 2-masted schooner, and it was came and went before the advent of cameras were a prevalent thing. Yeah. So we have no photographs of it. But the second one was commissioned during World War II, and it's down here in this little photograph here, the USS Fresno, which was a light cruiser.
Light cruiser, okay.
Okay, it was decommissioned years later after the war, and then during the Vietnam conflict, we came up with a third one, and it was a tank landing ship, which is now also come and gone. So we have three ships named after Fresno, and there's the Captain's Silver Service.
Oh, from this one?
From the first one.
The first one.
Passed on to the second one, and now we have it.
We should talk, where are, I know we're in Fresno, but are we really in the heart of downtown Fresno? Where are we at?
Yes, we're pretty much located here in the downtown portion of the city. And just to the north of us is the Madera, and that's the geographical center of California. So we're right in the heartland. So you got Los Angeles, 3-something hours drive to the south. We got 2-hour drive to Monterey, the coast, or you can go to Sacramento, the capital, another 2.5 hours, or 30 minutes to the mountains. It's a great place to live.
Oh, yeah, that's right now.
We got it all.
Definitely.
A little hot in the summertime, as you know right now.
Yes,
But
yes.
otherwise, that is a pretty nice place to be.
And what is this building?
This building was built in 1935 as part of the WPA Restore America program, get people to work again. And it was built as a memorial to the World War I veterans. And it's 110,000 square feet.
Good size.
It was built as a big, sort of speak, arena, and we're on the ground floor of it.
So this is the balconies I'm seeing that are
that
painted
would be
up
a balcony,
here, huh?
and as you notice, they're camouflaged, but there's areas there where you see the steps going up.
Yeah, actually, you guys did a real great job because.
Well, that's up to the cheap seats.
Okay.
And beyond this wall that was added just a few years ago is a 500-seat theater where they can put on musicals and plays and smaller productions.
Sure. Wow, that's really cool. So what's the building itself called?
It's the Fresno Memorial Building.
Fresno Memorial.
And in its heyday, every one of the Hollywood actors, the big bands, everybody you can think of played here.
I really do like what they did when you first look up there, you don't think that's the balcony. It's done really well.
We're unique in another way. This room comes alive.
Really?
There's a feature movie we show. It's about 15 minutes long about World War II.
Okay.
Now, World War II started for us when?
1941.
When the who bombed Pearl Harbor?
Yes, the Japanese.
Well, there you go,
Thank
right
you.
there.
Oh, so we're telling a story up
So
here.
as the film progresses, the room goes dark, and then the film will progress, and it will highlight these different areas of conflict during World War II.
Oh.
It sort of ends up over here with our bomber, which was a movie prop from a very early Kevin Costner film called The Mission. But one of the things that we like to do is we like to highlight mostly the service of the people that work here, that contribute to our museum.
Oh, that's nice.
And the people of the Legion of Valor that we honor. This particular little display right here highlights 3 of our docent staff.
Really?
Tom Schindler, Jess Fabella, and Mike Gavilis. They are here today, right now as we speak, and they were all wounded in Vietnam. So we have, some gave blood. And we're very pleased that they survived that ordeal, but they were all Purple Heart recipients. Wow. But this is the kind of personal touch that I put on the museum.
I see.
This is something that came out of my head.
That's great.
We try to represent all walks of life as best we can from all the branches of the service, from all the wars. That's kind of the general theme that's in my head every time I want to create something new or different. And I'm always doing that because one thing I know that's a death knell for museums is stagnation.
Yes.
You'll come once and say, wow, that was a great place. You'll come a second time and bring your friend, and maybe a third time, and if you see the same thing every time, you probably won't be back again.
Yeah.
So we try to rotate our displays and keep things moving along to where it's an interesting place every time you come.
Sure.
One of the features that we have here, I don't believe is probably too popular or prevalent around the country, is a display of Jimmy Doolittle. Here's all the flight crew photographs of the different crews that took off from the Hornet when they went and bombed Japan, and their names and so forth. You know, the Tokyo Raiders, and we just lost the last one of them, I think was 2 years ago.
Yeah, I
Passed away
heard that,
from
yeah.
that.
Well, that's amazing. I think those big bombers off an aircraft carrier.
Right, that was a very unheard of thing to do.
And of course, they weren't coming back. Is this a replica of
we have a replica of the Hornet and the aircraft that kind of give you an idea of what they were dealing with when they launched that raid on Japan. This is the Legion of Valor Gallery of Heroes.
Oh, okay.
I was telling you about the founder of the place, Chuck Munges. This is his.
This is his. Okay.
And that would be him in the photograph there on the right.
And that's him up there.
Up there. He was both in the Marine Corps and the Army.
Really?
And so he really worked the patriotism to its furthest stretches.
That guy's got a rack here. That's my Air Force guy.
He was,
wow.
Colonel Day was at a point in time the highest decorated serviceman in the country.
Really? Above David Hackworth?
Above Hackworth,
Wow.
yes. I also met David Hackworth a couple times.
Really? Great book.
He came through here a number of times autographing his books.
Now, and I want to make sure the cameraman ends up getting a picture of this, because so far the uniforms we walked down, he's the only one in his rack where he actually has the Medal of Honor ribbon on.
Right.
So that it just stood out to me, and I'm looking down, and I don't.
Well, he's in this grouping here is the only one that has the medal on. The others are Distinguished Service Crosses and Navy Cross.
Oh, okay. I gotta say though, looking at uniforms again, I love my Air Force, but we have the weakest uniform. They're not quite the splashy uniforms of a Marine.
We have our jokes between the branches. Bus driver uniform.
Bus driver, exactly. I've heard that a few times. But look at that Marine. That's snappy.
Right, yeah.
The high collars. That's something. That's something else. Yeah. Now, so far I'm seeing men. Are there? And I really don't know any women with the Congressional Medal or the Medal of Honor.
There was one awarded during the Civil War, Mary Walker.
Oh,
She
the
was a
nurse, right?
Battlefield nurse.
Yeah.
And there was the only one that I'm pretty sure that's the only one that's ever awarded to a woman. Well, we come over here a little bit to the right of us, and this was our little Vietnam section.
Okay.
And this is kind of the generic stuff that was used in that conflict.
I don't know what it is, but this setup with this flak jacket, and it's just very iconic. Maybe from all the movies that were made on Vietnam, but you definitely know it's Vietnam era. It's no longer World War II.
We sort of dedicated this to Jess Fabella. He's one of the fellows over in our Purple Heart case. In fact, he's probably right around the corner.
I think I saw that picture. So he's one of the guys that's here today.
Yes, he's here today, or was here. But anyway, when we saw the mannequin and we saw his actual photograph, they almost are the same guy. So we put his name on it, and so he's represented as a combat troop during the Vietnam. He's with the 199th Light Infantry. Well, let's see. Well, here's another concept that I came up with this summer. We were closed for a year to the public because of the COVID.
Sure.
So we had an opportunity to go through here and really work the place over a little bit. But this one was one that I was thinking about. This young fellow here, William Settle. This was my best friend in high school. He met a girl, they wanted to get married, but of course he was in school, didn't have a paycheck, so he quit high school in his senior year, joined the Army, went to Vietnam, and about 3 months later was killed.
Oh.
So was my very best friend, another young schoolmate of mine, and the other fellows were other fellows that some of our other staff knew personally that were lost in Vietnam. And so I put this little display in their honor and their memory. Actually wrote a little poem to go with it. And,
that's nice.
And so we honor their memory and never forget.
So that's very nice that you remembered your friend.
Well, I read a quotation many years ago that a soldier never dies unless he's forgotten. We entertain around 11 to 12,000 people a year on a regular basis.
So
they come from all over the world.
While we're here, and it's a good segue, what days are you open? Obviously, it's free. And then what are your hours?
It's better to tell you we're only closed on Sunday.
Okay, that's easy. And your hours?
10 to 3.
10 to 3, okay. And then, like almost every museum I've been to, great collection of model planes and stuff. In fact, I have that B-1, this very same one. I don't see a lot of, my grandmother worked on this program, and we got to see the rollout of the B-1A, and we all got these. I kind of overwhelmed, there's so much here. And I take it, do you have a gift shop?
Yes, we have a little gift shop on as you exit, and that helps with our expenses a little bit because nothing's free these days.
That's true,
even to us.
Now, I saw the split uniforms when I first walked in. Is that trying to show civilian by day, patriot by night, or
in the Middle Eastern conflicts, because like I was mentioned earlier, the reserves and the Guard were heavy lifting, doing a lot of the service to those needs. So many of the Guard and Reserve people are law enforcement people. They serve a dual role.
Yeah.
So I met so many of these guys that were in police departments, deputy sheriffs, probation, highway patrol. They're everywhere. And so I thought, well, you know what? Let's honor them just in a little regard. This young fellow here, Will McCarty, first time I ever laid eyes on him was in Iraq. A few years later, I find he's working at the same police department I work. But anyways, this uniform here, I was thinking about, well, how do we do this? So I got one of our old police department uniforms, and it's actually his stuff. And I had my wife create this. Well, that was such a nice little piece, and so many people admired it that one day the county sheriff was in here, Well, why don't we have one for the sheriff's department? So here we have one over here.
I got to say, out of all the things I've seen in a lot of museums, this is one of the most unique and a very, interesting way of honoring
And actually,
the
the
reserves.
chocolate chips are my personal uniform. The thing
Grip.
to me that when I look at things like that, and I think what a tremendous thing to display. Some Japanese soldier, probably deceased, when these photographs were taken, but there he's carrying his wife or his sister, mother, whoever it might have been, in his pocket. No different than what we would do.
Well, sure.
All people of families, and you just kind of have to understand they believe in their cause, we believe in ours.
Well, as I say, we're not honoring or glorifying the war, but we're really honoring the people who made the sacrifices for their country.
And let's see. Well, here's our armory. We have a little display of weapons. Everything has been decommissioned.
Okay.
Nothing fires. So if in an event some bad guys get in sometime,
It's not
they
going
can't
to
go rob liquor stores.
Well, they might
try,
but it's not going to do anything. Well, oh man.
But we've tried to depict a lot of the common and unusual in this display in here.
So pick me an unusual. I see Commons, Colts. Those are pretty.
Well, here's
well,
one
that long rifle there looks unusual. Is that where you were going?
Nope.
Nope.
Well, yeah, that is one. I'll tell you that
Okay.
story. But first, let's go up here to this little pistol. During World War II, they had the French underground and the resistance fighters all through Europe under the thumb of the Nazis. And so they didn't really have a lot of availability of getting weapons. So the U.S. produced these guns. They call them the Woolworth gun, or the Woolworth Special. It costs $1.50 to make one out of stamped steel. And it shoots a .45 caliber round, as was all of our stuff. And what you do is you pull that little handle in the back backwards, and there's a plate. You pull the plate out, you put your bullet in, and it's ready to fire. And to reload it, you pull it back again, take the plate out, use that little stick, knock the empty out, and then reload it, put the plate back, good to go again. They call that the gun to get a gun with.
I get it. I got it.
So what they did is they made hundreds of thousands of these and threw them out all over the countryside from aircraft in their little boxes there. And then the resistance fighters could pick those up. And of course, in a covert way, walk up to a bad guy and, and take his weapon after you've done your dirty deed.
Wow.
That's a very unusual piece, and most unusual, we've got the box that it came in.
I've never heard of that one.
Yeah, but that was called the Woolworth Special. The one you alluded to a minute ago, this homemade thing, and it is homemade. We had a fellow come in a number of years ago. He was an Air America pilot, flying in the Southeast Asian theater in places where we weren't, theoretically. Well, he would buy a case of the little military GI wristwatches or Timexes. I remember about $12 a piece.
Yeah.
Well, he would take those and give them to these tribal elders and so forth, and he would tell them, "Look, I want some original artifacts, and I really like these old rifles you make." So he was telling me that he had, over the time he was there, collected 125 of these things. Well, he got older in life and so forth, had this collection, and he was getting older. He said, "What do I do with these things?" So he started traveling the country, donating them to museums.
Oh.
So we have 2 of them. Well, come on up here. We'll introduce you to the crew.
And this is where we would start. If that big ceremony wasn't going on, we would have.
Right.
This is where we'd have come through first.
All right.
And we would have been greeted by all the veterans. Thank you for your service, everybody.
We'll start here with Rob Teller.
Well, thank you.
Rob's a
Rob?
Saturday guy, and he's an Army veteran. He actually runs the City of Fresno retirement program.
Awesome.
So as long as I treat him nice, he keeps sending me a paycheck.
Awesome. Awesome.
Diddy Hirakawa, he's a Vietnam veteran, a helicopter pilot.
No, mechanic.
Mechanic, okay. Yeah, so,
I've heard it both ways,
Okay,
you know.
No, you could probably fly it if you had
More
to.
valuable than a pilot.
And the dummy you saw out there. Oh, I mean, this is Jesse.
Oh, yeah.
He's a Vietnam veteran, Purple Heart recipient.
Nice.
Mike Gravillis, also
Hey.
Vietnam Purple Heart recipient.
Wow, thank
Jim
you.
Jones, Air Force Vietnam.
Good to
Tom
hear.
Schindler, another Purple Heart from Vietnam.
Greetings.
Wow.
So
Salutations.
this is our today's crew.
Today's crew. You guys are doing a wonderful job maintaining out here. This is wonderful.
Thank
So,
And up on the wall there's the staff here in our younger days when we were
just a
Well,
few.
some of us
not
is
so
our younger
robust.
Wow. Very nice. Well, this has been really enlightening, entertaining, and sad at some points. You know, there's definitely a range of emotions when you come into, a place like this. So,
This is our grand foyer out here, I call it, and it's kind of going around the room. It gives you the idea and description of what the medals actually look like.
So we watched, well, for the people watching, we kind of worked backwards a little bit. There was a nice ceremony that we spoke of earlier going on right here. So normally a guest would come in these front doors.
Correct, yes.
Right, and they enter this nice hall.
We went through the museum totally backwards.
Totally backwards, all right. Well, that's okay. And so Distinguished Flying Cross, Purple Heart, Navy Cross, Navy Medal of Honor, Army,
Medal of Honor.
Distinguished Service, Medal of Honor, Distinguished Service, Air Force Cross, Bronze Star, Silver Star. So to be an Air Force Medal of Honor, I like these. Well, these are nice displays to know, what they are. And I really, they don't make buildings like this anymore. This is just, look at these chandeliers. Are these chandeliers all this stuff original?
This is all preserved. Like I say, it's on the historical registry, built in 1935. And it was quite the place in its heyday.
I bet. Oh, it's still quite a place. And I like how you put the flags out and you kind of frame our
that's our
the entry
everyday
here.
welcome to the public.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, Mike, I want to thank you. I appreciate your
It was an honor
time.
having you there.
And I really enjoyed it, even though we did it backwards. Definitely didn't want to interrupt that event that was going on. And that was kind of an honor to see those guys and everybody talking with them. So again, thank you.
There's not too many World War II veterans left.
No.
When I came here 10 years ago and started this detail, we had about 16, I believe. Now we're down to 4.
Oh, wow.
And like I said, one of the fellows, Mr. Biggers, he'll be 100 years old in November. He's our eldest member, and the other was 97, 96, and 95.
Wow.
So these fellows we're losing them.
Yes.
And it tugs at my heart to know that these guys that I've made friends with won't be here.
Yeah. Well, even the Korea guys aren't far behind. Because I was thinking my dad would be, I think, nearly 90. He was in Korea. So, and what they say, the forgotten war, right? And those guys are also aging. So we're going to have 2 groups
They're 5
quickly,
years behind.
that are not going to be around much longer. But again, Mike, thank you. This is great. I really appreciate it, and thank your staff for us too, and we appreciate it.